Okay, let's get into this deep dive. We're turning our attention to Numbers chapter 4.
Right. In this chapter, it's incredibly detailed. It's like reading a divine operations manual.
Exactly, an operations manual for moving the tent of meeting. The logistics are just staggering when you think about it.
They really are. And the focus is squarely on the Levites, specifically who did what.
And not just any Levites either. It singles out men between 30 and 50 years old.
Yeah, the age range considered, prime for this kind of demanding service.
Hmm.
Heavy lifting and, well, serious responsibility.
Definitely serious. And the tasks are broken down by clan, right? The Kohathites, Gershonites, and Merarites.
Precisely. Each clan gets a very distinct set of duties. Let's maybe start with the Kohathites.
Good idea, because they seem to have the most intense job, handling the most holy things.
Absolutely the most intense.
Yeah.
But the key thing is, they couldn't just walk up and grab them. There was a crucial first step.
This is where Aaron and his sons come in, the priests.
Exactly. Before the Kohathites could do anything, Aaron and his sons had to go in and cover everything. It was a protective measure.
Protective because these items were dangerously holy.
Dangerously holy. Direct contact, even looking at them improperly by anyone other than the designated priests performing this specific task, was lethal. So this covering process was vital.
Okay, so walk us through that. What did they cover first? The Ark.
Yes, the Ark of the Testimony. First, they take down the inner curtain, the veil that separated the most holy place.
They use the veil itself as the first covering.
They do, which is potent symbolism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then over that, a layer of durable sea cow, hides probably for protection against the elements.
Makes sense. Practical.
And then over that, a cloth of solid blue.
Blue. Any significance there?
Often linked to the heavens, the divine. So it marks the Ark's unique status, even when covered for transport. Only after all that do they insert the carrying poles.
Wow. Okay, what about the table of the presents? The one with the bread?
Similar process, different colors. First, a blue cloth spread over the table. Then they place all utensils on it. Plates, dishes, bowls, jars.
And the bread.
The bread stays. The text says the continual bread remains on it. Even while moving, that symbol of God's provision is there.
Huh. Interesting detail.
Then over those items, they spread a scarlet cloth.
Scarlet, not blue this time.
Right. Scarlet could symbolize life, importance, maybe atonement. Then the outer covering of sea cow hides, and finally, insert its poles.
Okay, and the lampstand. The menorah.
The lampstand and all its tools, lamps, trimmers, trays, oil jars get covered with a blue cloth, then wrapped entirely in sea cow hides and placed on a carrying frame.
A frame, not just poles for that one.
Seems so. Same for the gold altar, the incense altar. Blue cloth, then sea cow hides, then insert its poles.
And, like, the other bits and pieces from the sanctuary?
All the other articles, yeah, same treatment, wrapped in blue cloth, covered with sea cow hides, put on a carrying frame. Consistency for those inner items.
What about the big altar outside? The bronze altar for sacrifices?
That one's slightly different. First, clear the ashes. Then spread a purple cloth over it.
Purple now. Royalty.
Often signifies royalty or high status, yes. Then they place all its utensils, the fire pans, forks, shovels, bowls on the purple cloth.
Okay.
Then the covering of sea cow hides over everything and insert its poles. So you see the distinct handling for each major item.
It's incredibly specific, down to the color of the cloth and where the utensils go.
It really emphasizes the reverence, the order required. Nothing is casual here.
Which brings us back to that warning for the Kohathites. After Aaron and sons do all this covering.
Then the Kohathites come in. But the rule is iron flat. Do not touch the holy object itself, or you die.
And didn't it also say they couldn't even look?
Exactly. They must not go in to look even for a moment, or they die. The holiness is potent, overwhelming. The coverings are essential barriers.
It's sobering. And the text says Aaron and his sons assigned each Kohathite his specific load.
Yes, assignment by assignment. The text frames it as being for their survival, so that they may live and not die. Knowing exactly what to carry and only carrying it after it was covered was their protection.
It shows that hierarchy, that mediation through the priests.
Absolutely. And it mentions Eleazar, Aaron's son, had his own oversight role too.
Oh yeah, what was that?
He was in charge of the oil for the light, the incense, the grain offering, the anointing oil basically, the consumables needed for the tabernacle's function, and oversight of the whole tabernacle structure and contents in general. Kind of like the supply chain manager plus overall supervisor.
Okay, so that covers the Kohathites and their high-pressure job. What about the Gershonites?
Their role was different, but still vital. They handled, you could say, the tabernacle's skin and coverings.
So all the fabric, the curtains, the tent layers.
Precisely. The inner curtains, the main tent itself, the outer waterproof covering of hides, the entrance curtains for the tent.
And the courtyard, too.
Yes, all the curtains forming the outer courtyard enclosure, the entrance curtain for the courtyard, plus all the ropes and equipment associated with setting up those fabrics.
That sounds like a massive amount of material. Bulky.
Definitely bulky. A contrast to the smaller, intensely sacred items that Kohathites carried. And their work was overseen specifically by Ithamar, another of Aaron's sons.
Okay, so Ithamar directs the Gershonites.
Right? Clear chain of command again.
Which leaves the Merarites. If Gershonites had the skin, what did the Merarites carry?
The bones. The structural framework.
Ah, the literal poles and frames.
Exactly. The tabernacle frames,
Yeah.
the crossbars holding them, the posts, the heavy bases they slotted into.
So really heavy lifting.
For sure. And also, the posts for the surrounding courtyard, their bases, all the tent pegs, the ropes for the structure, everything needed to actually erect the framework. Timber, metal, heavy work.
I can just imagine the logistics of organizing that. Were they also under Ithamar?
They were. Like the Gershonites, their service was directed by Ithamar. And again, the text stresses that each man was assigned the specific things he was to carry.
Even if it was just like, you carry these 5 pegs.
Seems that way. Individual accountability. Nothing left to chance, nothing overlooked.
And then the chapter actually gives us the numbers, right? The census for this specific task force.
It does. It counts the men aged 30 to 50,
Yeah.
fit for the service. For the Kohathites, 2,750 men.
Okay, almost 3,000 just for those holiest items. And the Gershonites.
Handling the coverings and curtains, they numbered 2,630.
Pretty similar number. And the Merarites with the heavy structure.
They were the largest group, 3,200 men.
Wow. So add that all up. What is that?
That brings the total to 8,580 men. 8,580 men, just from that specific age group, dedicated solely to transporting the tent of meeting. It's an enormous number. It really shows you the scale and the importance placed on this whole operation. This wasn't a side job.
No kidding. And the text keeps repeating that this was all according to the Lord's command through Moses. Every assignment, every count.
Right. Divine instructions meticulously followed.
So when you step back and look at all this detail, the specific coverings, the color symbolism, the lethal warnings, the precise assignments, the sheer manpower, what does it all tell you?
Well, first, it screams the absolute centrality of the tent of meeting. This wasn't just moving furniture. It was moving the very symbol, and in their understanding, the locus of God's presence among them.
So the process had to reflect that immense significance.
Exactly. And the clear division of labor, the hierarchy, Aaron and sons, Eleazar, Ithamar, then the individual Levites, it highlights the need for order, discipline, and mediation when dealing with the holy.
It's also that contrast, isn't it? The almost mundane work of carrying a post.
Yeah, carrying a heavy wooden frame or bundle of fabric.
Set alongside the terrifying sacredness of carrying the ark, where one wrong move, one unauthorized glance, means death.
It integrates the ordinary physical labor into this sacred, potentially dangerous, divinely mandated system. Every task, big or small, matters.
And just trying to picture it coordinating nearly 9,000 people, each with their specific part, moving this massive structure through the wilderness.
With the entire nation on the move around them,
Yes.
It's a logistical feat that requires incredible coordination and trust in the system, trust in the command.
It really paints a picture of divine order in action.
It certainly does. Every piece accounted for, every person assigned.
So maybe this is something for you, the listener, to think about. When you encounter this kind of system so meticulously detailed, where every single task, down to carrying one specific tent peg, is part of a God-given, potentially life or death plan, what does that feel like? Is that level of prescribed order a source of security, knowing exactly what's expected? Or does it feel more like a constraint, removing any room for personal initiative? It definitely makes you ponder the weight, literal and symbolic, of responsibility within such a framework.